Hai pemirsa Jak TV, kembali berjumpa di perjalanan kami ke Amerika Serikat dalam rangka liputan mengenai social entrepreneurship, yaitu mengenai orang-orang yang berupaya menciptakan perubahan positif atas persoalan yang menimpa masyarakat, masalah pendidikan, masalah kesehatan, atau masalah ekonomi. Menariknya, kewirausahaan sosial belakangan terbukti kian mampu menyelesaikan berbagai macam persoalan tersebut di atas. Di Amerika sendiri, orang-orang yang bergerak di bidang social entrepreneur sudah bermunculan dari berbagai bidang. Pendidikan maupun mentor ada untuk membantu mereka yang ingin terjun di bidang ini. Kalau di episode sebelumnya, kita sudah berkunjung ke American University yang memiliki jurusan Social Enterprise di bawah hubungan internasional. Di episode ini kita akan berkunjung ke Mentor Capital Network untuk ngobrol-ngobrol dengan Ian Sis, sang CEO, dan juga dua orang yang mendapat mentor darinya, yaitu Ben Buck dari Equis dan Josephine Chu dari Zen Fulbright. Tak ketinggalan kunjungan spesial kita ke Change.org, suatu platform terbesar yang siap membantu menciptakan perubahan bagi kemajuan kita bersama. So guys, are you ready to make a change? Stay tune di sini ya. Pemirsa, kalau Anda ingin memulai atau memperluas jaringan usaha di bidang social entrepreneurship, Anda dapat mencari mentor yang dapat membantu usaha Anda supaya lebih maju, seperti Mentor Capital Network ini. Setiap tahun mereka menerima lebih dari 500 aplikasi dan kemudian memberikan bantuan mentoring kepada usaha yang terpilih dari berbagai negara di seluruh dunia.
Hai, sekarang ini Cheryl Marella lagi ada di kantornya WeWork, dan di sini kita akan mulai membahas seputar social entrepreneurship. Di mana hari ini Cheryl akan menginterview beberapa entrepreneur dan kita akan membahas seperti apa kerjasama mereka dengan Mentor Capital Network. Seperti apa dan siapa aja yang akan diinterview? Ikutin saya yuk. Hai, masih dari Washington DC barengan sama Cheryl Marella, dan sekarang ini kita akan membahas seputar social entrepreneurship barengan dengan Mr. Ian Fisk. How are you?
I am well. Good morning. Greetings.
Greetings. And so you are from Mentor Capital Network, right?
Yes, I am. I've had the honor of leading that organization for the past decade.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit, because people back home, they probably don't really understand a lot about social entrepreneurship. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So social entrepreneurship is a relatively new term. It just came into being about 30 or 40 years ago. You can always tell it's a new term because it shows up in the English language version in other languages. And we specifically work with for-profit companies that have built a social or environmental goal into how they make their money.
And so you have mentors here, right? How do people get to be the mentor, and who are they mentoring?
So we have about 1,000 mentors around the world. I've been doing this for a long time. And these are folks who have built, managed, or invested in these same kind of companies, for-profit social enterprises. Or they're also called multiple bottom line companies, companies that measure both their financial and social return. I have been in this field for about 15 or 20 years, and I just started recruiting my friends, and then they told two friends, and they told two friends. But we're looking for folks who have the expertise, who know what it takes to successfully build a company that has got a social or environmental mission as part of. And the companies they work with are entrepreneurs who are starting or growing the same. So basically, a lot of the folks who are starting these kind of companies are passionate about their expertise. They're really good at the thing that drives them. And this may be, like I said earlier, turning algae into fuel, working with communities that other people are ignoring, treating folks like a market that are previously just treated as charity. But they're new to scaling a business, because there's one set of skills around hard work. Every person who runs a business needs hard work, charisma, and luck. But after a business reaches a certain size, there are a set of skills around managing a business process that you don't necessarily get when you just sort of reach out to start something. One of the definitions of entrepreneur, there are many, the one that I like is somebody who tries to solve a problem without regard for resources currently under control. These are people who see a problem and go after solving it before they have all the tools. But we're connecting the entrepreneur. When you're offered mentorship, when you're offered people to talk to, when you're very busy as an entrepreneur. You don't, there's 18 people who are happy to give you advice, but like, which advice do you take? So they, just like the mentor, they get to see little dribs of advice from each of these people. We'll set them up with 10 or 15 different people, and they'll see little dribs of advice. They'll say, these two understand what I'm trying to do, and I raised excellent questions. And then the mentors will make the same. We're letting them choose each other.
Oke, jadi intinya adalah untuk social entrepreneurship, ini adalah entrepreneur yang bergabung jadi satu, mereka dimentor supaya pada saat mereka melakukan bisnis ini menguntungkan juga untuk orang-orang di sekitarnya. Jadi sambil membantu orang-orang yang ada di sekitarnya juga. Biasanya unik-unik dan mereka sendiri punya competition. 1 tahun itu ada lebih dari 1 competition. Jadi kalau misalnya pengen tahu kompetisinya apa aja, bisa langsung dicek ke website mereka di mentorcapitalnet.org. Oke, kita akan kembali lagi dan pastinya akan menginterview beberapa entrepreneur. Jadi jangan kemana-mana, stay tune terus cuma di Jak TV barengan sama Cheryl Marella. Thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you.
Kolaborasi yang tepat antara mentor dan entrepreneur tentunya akan memberikan hasil yang baik juga bermanfaat bagi masyarakat di sekitarnya. Seperti kolaborasi antara Mentor Capital Network dengan Equiz, sebuah usaha yang fokus pada efisiensi penggunaan air dalam kehidupan kita sehari-hari.
Dari Washington DC, masih barengan sama Cheryl Marella dan kita masih membahas seputar social entrepreneurship. Yang menarik di sini adalah kita akan ngobrol-ngobrol langsung dengan co-founder dari Equiz. Hi, Ben Bak.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So, can you tell us a little bit about you being a mentee from the Mentor Capital Network?
Absolutely. Our company has benefited tremendously by being a mentee because it allows our business plan, what we're trying to do, to be exposed to various folks that we wouldn't otherwise have contact with, and they provide us valuable feedback and information on what we could do better. So it's been a tremendous help.
How long has it been?
Our company? Yes. We started last year, so we've been around for about 1.5 years now, and so we're a fairly new venture, but we've been working at this very aggressively and made some good progress so far.
That's great. And can you tell us a little bit about Equiz?
Absolutely. Our company is focused purely on water, and what we're trying to do is improve water efficiency for buildings or a collection of buildings. And we do that 3 main ways. One is to provide analytics, so help buildings, property owners, and property managers understand their water usage, what their costs are. And based on that information, we move into actual projects to help improve water efficiency. So it could be anything from indoors, replacing to high efficiency toilets or shower heads, to outdoors to implement smart irrigation. And it could also extend into sub-metering, which is something that we're very bullish on, which is if you have a large building with, let's say, 100 units, we want each unit to be responsible for what they use. In order to do that, you have to measure what they use.
Do you have any words for the viewers if they would love to know, or if they would probably love to join your company?
Well, we would love to hear from the folks in Indonesia. As I mentioned earlier, water issues are global, and anything that we can do to help solve that issue, whether it's in the United States or Indonesia or anywhere else in the world, we would love to get engaged. So we'd love to hear from folks in Indonesia.
How do we actually contact you guys? Do you have any website and stuff?
We do. So our company name is Aquees. It's AQUEES, and you can see our website at www.aquees.com. And via our website, you can send us an email or a message, and we would get in touch with you.
Alright, thank you so much. Jadi Aquees ini bergeraknya di bidang air ya. Jadi untuk orang-orang yang mulai concern gitu kalau air itu sangat-sangat berguna sekali, jangan sampai dibuang-buang dan sebagainya, harus join Aquees ya. Oke, kita akan berlanjut ke entrepreneur berikutnya. Siapakah dia atau seperti apakah juga ceritanya dan background dari company mereka sendiri? Jangan di mana-mana, stay tune terus cuma di JAK TV.
Kesibukan yang padat di kota besar seperti Washington DC dapat membuat masyarakat tidak memiliki cukup waktu untuk mempersiapkan makanan sendiri dan akhirnya menyantap makanan yang tidak sehat. Hal ini yang mengilhami Zenful Bites, sebuah usaha yang bergerak di bidang kuliner membantu menyediakan makanan sehat. Setelah mendapat bisnis plan yang tepat dari mentor Capital Network, usahanya bergerak kian maju.
Masih bersama dengan Cheryl Marella dan kita masih membahas seputar social entrepreneurship dan kali ini Cheryl udah barengan dengan Josephine Chu. How are you?
Hello, thank you so much for interviewing me today.
Okay, so your company is called Zenful Bites, right? What is it about?
So my company, Zenful Bites, is a social enterprise based here in the DC metro area. We focus on providing plant-based eco-catering services and food education program with the aim of using food to create a healthy and sustainable food system here in DC.
Okay, so you actually deliver the food to a larger crowd, right? So you cannot really do one-on-one kind of delivery yet.
Yes, right now our focus is on delivering to our corporate clients, and we also do private clients. We will be starting a meal delivery service, but that'll be launching later this summer.
All right. And how do you actually start to work with Mentor Capital Network?
I actually initially applied for their Sustainable Business Competition a few years ago. And so this is actually my second time applying, and I've since used their feedback to further hone in my business plan.
And how useful is it, do you think, so far for your business?
I definitely found their feedback very useful in terms of giving me outside input. When it's just my business partner and I, we think of these ideas, but it's good to have other people give us feedback and give us suggestions of things we didn't previously consider, and also make sure that we hone in on what our product is and how to market that.
So Zenful Bites is actually about healthy food, right? And why do you want to do that? Why healthy food? I mean, there's so many choices of food here in DC, I believe. Why do you go for that?
So for us, we focus on healthy food because really we see it as issues of our personal health. Both our personal health and also environmental health, in the sense that a lot of diseases that people face nowadays are really preventable diseases, issues of obesity, diabetes, heart disease. A lot of these diseases can be prevented with a healthy diet and active living, and so that's what we're trying to promote.
All right, so if people want to check out your catering, where do they go? Your website?
Yep, so our website is just zenfulbites.com. That's ZENFULBITES.com. And we're also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josephine. Oke, jadi Zenful Bites ini lebih berkecimpung di dunia healthy food ya. Jadi makanan sehat supaya memprevent juga penyakit-penyakit. Karena sekarang ini kan makanan yang sembarangan ternyata bisa bikin kita penyakitan loh. Mulai dari diabetes, terus kolesterol dan sebagainya. Nah, berusaha di-prevent dengan healthy food nih si Zenful Bites ini gitu. Jadi itu dia tadi perbincangan Cheryl dan juga Josephine. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Alright, dan semoga pembicaraan tadi juga bermanfaat untuk kalian yang mau berkecimpung di dunia social entrepreneurship.
Pemirsa, kita hidup dalam suatu masa yang luar biasa, di mana saat ini lebih mudah untuk membuat satu perubahan. Bagaimana caranya memberikan inspirasi dan mengajak orang untuk membuat perubahan? Change.org bisa menjadi jawabannya. Kami mendapat kesempatan untuk berkunjung ke kantor Change.org yang berada di Washington DC.
Masih di JAK TV barengan sama Cheryl Marella, dan saat ini masih dari Washington DC. Cheryl sedang ada di change.org, di mana ini adalah one of the world's largest petition platform empowering people everywhere to create the change they want to see. Dan sekarang ini Cheryl udah barengan sama Megan. Hi Megan.
Hello.
So, can you tell us a little bit what you do here at Change?
Sure. So I'm the Deputy Global Communications Director at Change.org. What that means is that I help our users and our staff tell the stories, the thousands of stories that come out of our platform every month. Those stories are generated by users who are starting petitions on the platform. You mentioned that Change.org is the world's largest petition platform, and that's true. We have users in every single country on the planet. We're growing by about 2 or 3 million users every month, and users are starting 25,000 new petitions on the site every month.
What I want to know is, can people from the other part of the world actually use Change for their petition and others?
Absolutely. That's the beauty of the platform, is that it is a website and it's accessible to anyone, anywhere. So the reason Change.org exists is so that anybody, anywhere, regardless of where you live, your political affiliation, your gender, can start a petition on an issue that you care about, or sign a petition on an issue that you care about, and become a part of a community of people who are very interested in that issue or passionate about that issue. So yes, the answer to your question is anyone, anywhere can start or sign a petition on an issue that they care about.
Which country actually use Change the most?
That's a great question. So the answer to your question is no, it's not mostly Americans who are using the platform. We are growing outside of the U.S. at a rate faster than we're growing inside the United States as we expand into more countries, and as people outside of the United States start and then share those petitions. There's a viral effect to it. I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation the social network aspect. The site is designed so that when people start or sign a petition, they can tell their friends about it, and that in itself sort of helps spur that very rapid global expansion that I was talking about.
Now, do you have any message to the audience right now watching us about Change.org?
I would say this platform exists for you to create the change that you want to see. Go online, go to Change.org, start a petition or sign a petition on an issue that you care about, sign it with your friends. It's amazing the impact you'll have.
Thank you so much, Megan. Oke, jadi basically Change ini adalah sebuah organisasi di mana orang-orang bisa menandatangani petisi dan akan mengubah banyak hal di dunia ini, macam-macam karena ya topik-topiknya juga beda, mulai dari animal, bisa ke health, segala macam pokoknya ada di sini. Kita akan membahas lebih lanjut lagi seputar strateginya seperti apa, tungguin aja di sini ya.
Di zaman sekarang ini, lebih mudah menggalang suatu kampanye untuk menciptakan perubahan ke arah yang positif tanpa terhalang jarak dan waktu. Tentunya dengan dibantu kemajuan teknologi saat ini. Change.org merupakan wadah untuk memfasilitasi perubahan itu dengan inovasi dan kreativitas dari mereka yang telah tergabung di sini.
Masih dari change.org, Cheryl Marella masih di Washington DC juga. Kalau tadi kita udah ngomongin sejarahnya Change, sekarang ini kita harus masuk ke strategi bagaimana mereka actually membantu orang-orang membuat petisi. And right now I am with Pulin Modi. He's a senior campaigner here at Change, right?
Yes, how are you?
I'm great, doing fine. Okay, what I want to ask you is, what's the strategy for Change to change the world?
So our strategy is basically to give everyday people the power to create the change they want to see.
Okay.
So we want to make it as easy as possible for making change part of everyday life for everyone, no matter where you live, no matter what you care about. We want to give you a platform so that your voice can be amplified and heard, and so that when other people agree with you, they can feel comfortable taking part in your campaign as well.
Okay. So social media has a major effect in this campaigns, right? How do you actually do that? Because it's not that easy to gain followers. It's not easy to make your story heard. I mean, there are over millions of stories online. How do you make yours seen and heard?
So the thing that we really talk a lot about is storytelling, because at the end of the day, what people want to participate in is an authentic story from somebody they can relate to. And so we encourage people to be very clear what their personal connection is to an issue. We want them also to be very clear what the decision maker needs to do in terms of the very specific ask. And we also encourage anybody who starts a petition to specify what their timeline is, so that if you want somebody to participate in your petition, you know when you can expect a decision to be made, or you have a more clear sense of additional actions you could take and the timeline to do that.
Jadi biasanya ada timeline-nya ya, kalau misalnya mau bikin satu petisi harus dikasih tahu ke mereka juga nih spesifikasinya seperti apa, nanti akan dibikin ceritanya sama mereka, habis itu dibikin timeline-nya juga, and then they're gonna help you out on how to be heard and how to be seen. So what I want to know next is the challenges here. I mean, this is not easy. This is not an easy job, I believe. What are the challenges and how do you overcome that?
That's a great question. Yeah. So I think the challenge is that people are so conditioned to ask others to make changes they want to see. They're used to asking elected decision makers to make the changes, or they're used to asking companies to make changes. And the thing that we want to provide for people is a platform so that they can directly start having a voice without waiting for a particular legislative session or a particular board meeting. We want any individual, whether they're a consumer or a member of an organization or a constituent for an elected official, we want them to feel like if they see something that they want to change that's important to them, they can immediately take action and start recruiting their friends and family members and their community members to build a movement to create that change.
What about from Indonesia? Is there any specific campaign from Indonesia that you guys have done?
There are a lot of campaigns from Indonesia that often cross over to the U.S. and internationally. A lot of them have to do with wildlife issues. So, for example, right now there's a popular campaign about wildlife trafficking of cockatoos and other animals based on a photo that ended up being circulated recently. But in addition to that, there have also been a lot of campaigns about corruption and government accountability. There was one that I can remember that was really successful that got the president to visit a particular community that was affected by haze from deforestation. And so there are so many issues that people care about, and it's really exciting to see that people are able to have a voice and reach some of the highest levels of government.
Jadi kalau dari Indonesia sendiri, mulai dari isu kebakaran hutan sampai penyelundupan burung kakatua ada di sini juga, macam-macam ya, trafficking segala juga diurusin sama mereka. Jadi kalau misalnya perlu petisi dan perlu didengar suaranya, jangan lupa untuk masuk aja ke change.org. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for having me, and good luck to you guys. Hopefully this is gonna expand bigger than now.
Thank you so much for your time.
Itu dia tadi jalan-jalan kita di Washington DC. Kalau tadi kita udah ke National Treasury, White House juga udah, Monument of Washington juga udah. Jangan kemana-mana karena selanjutnya kita akan hop in ke kota berikutnya. Plus kita akan ngobrol-ngobrol juga sama orang-orang yang berkecimpung di dunia social entrepreneurship. Jadi jangan kemana-mana, stay terus cuma di JAK TV barengan sama Cheryl Marella.